Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Curiosity. Today is a solo episode with yours truly, and we have some spicy questions today. So I'm just going to go down like a roll call for all these questions and let you know kind of what you're in for in this episode. Here are the questions. Were you intimate with anyone before your marriage with Adam? Did you tell your family you were changing your mind on your religion? Have you ever thought you liked girls? Do you ever wish you had a crazy season before marrying Adam? What's a big life dream you have that's non-negotiable? What food did you miss the most when you were vegan? What's your relationship like with your sister? And do you believe in past lives and why? So, it's quite a doozy, but it's going to be a good one. So let's dive in. Actually, before we dive in, I do need to tell you about what I'm drinking. No, it's not coffee, but it is matcha. And not just any matcha, it's Blossom's matcha. And you've heard we've talked about them before. And now we have Curious Cuties also drinking Blossom with us, which I love. And so let me back up. If you are an avid coffee drinker and you just chugged your morning coffee and you know the jitters are on their way and will be in full effect by the end of this episode, it's time to make that switch. Whether it's matcha, whether it's chai, Blossom oat milk lattes are a delicious way to get the energy and focus that you want from your coffee without the jitters and the crash. It's perfect for you, but it's also a perfect gift for Christmas. Add it to your wish list or get it for somebody you love. Get 20% off your latte mix at drinkblossom.com with the code Curiosity. That's drinkblossom.com with the code Curiosity for 20% off. Okay, so there's really no right or wrong way to dive into these very intense questions. So I'm just gonna start from the first ones I picked and go from there. Were you intimate with anyone before your marriage with Adam? So I never had intercourse sex with anyone except for Adam. I did other things. I did hand stuff, mouth stuff with other guys. Not often. They were like a kind of one-offs with each of my boyfriends. They didn't happen that often. Some more than others. I would consider that intimate, but I don't know. I mean, some people consider being intimate means like penetration, intercourse, and no, I didn't have any of that before Adam. Kind of vanilla there. But that's part of what like we made us like reconsider what sex is too, as I talked about, I think in one of the episodes recently, I think my last solo, we talked about how when we first had sex and first got married, like we had a difficult time with it. So we did the stuff that I did with like other boyfriends plus a little more and at least more often. And it made us consider like, what is sex and how do you define sex? And so according to me, I would say like I've been sexual with other people. I've had sex things with people, but I just never had intercourse before with Adam. So anyway, there we go. Hard hitter right at the beginning. Love that. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, next. Did you tell your family you were changing your mind on your religion? This is a fun question. No. I think that was part of my personality. When something's like going to be a drastic change, I for some reason don't like to tell anybody anything because I don't want to get the opinions of everyone as I'm trying to remain confident in my choices. And if I get opinions from people, I won't be as confident. And so whether it's like a really drastic hair change or whether it's a really drastic change like what I believe in or what I like follow as my religion, no, I did not tell them. I did not really warn them. I do think there were signs that I was going through changes and I was questioning things. But no, I did not like keep them in the loop. I did not have discussions with them as I was like kind of deconstructing my faith, if you will. They found out a lot of the times with the things that I would share or post online or through the beginning of this podcast, which, by the way, if you're new here, hello, welcome. The first several seasons are a lot to do with Adam and I asking questions about our religious faith that we were raised in. And as we've evolved, we're curious about more than just that. And so hence the rebrand of the podcast to now Curiosity, because curiosity has been the thing that has been the through line. But to go back to your question, no, I did not. And I do think that was, my parents' opinion of me has always mattered the most. My family's opinion of me has always mattered to me the most out of anyone. I really don't give a shit about what anybody thinks of me. I never have. The world can think I'm the worst person in the world, or they can think I'm the best. Like, yes, like I might feel something if everyone hates me, but like also at the end of the day, if like my core people, think well of me, I'm good. And I think by keeping my distance with my parents and my family when I was going through such huge changes, it allowed me to it allowed me to fully experience everything I was going through without holding back, because anytime I'd even be scared to post certain things or ask certain questions on a public forum of any kind, and for fear of like my parents even seeing. There was a time I had my parents, blocked or muted, not blocked. No, yeah, blocked, from like seeing my stories as I was like, sharing a lot more during a time. And like, I just didn't want that in the back of my mind. So yes, it was like the most scary part of it, I think. Which is probably why I kept that distance. And do I recommend it? I mean, I think when you're going through big changes, you do have to do whatever you need to do to honor your journey and to take care of yourself, and especially your mental health, in a time when it's so like identity shifting. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love that question though, because a long time ago, a couple of years ago, I was asked all the time how I dealt with the family side of it. And like, I will say that was the hardest part. And obviously they saw all this stuff, and like everybody knows now, and they're well aware of who I am and a lot of my thoughts. I think maybe my brothers kind of turn a blind eye in a way because they don't really want to know. I don't know. But we're all pretty respectful of each other's, at least my siblings and I are all pretty respectful of each other's difference of opinions, because boy, do we. We just, when it comes to our family, we at this point just want to embrace the short time we have together anytime we do see each other. So anyway, yeah. Okay, moving on. So, have you ever thought you liked girls? So, growing up, I don't think it's like I never actually had a crush on any girl. I never was like into any girl. I didn't have that. But I did have the thought cross my mind when I was, a young teenager, because of two things. One, I was actually and am really, really picky about who I find attractive. And I do think I am mostly, what's it called? That's what Adam is. Is it? I don't remember. Anyway, it's the sexuality that is like you are attracted to somebody based off of like personality. Like you can't form a sexual attraction to somebody without like a mental, emotional kind of connection. And so I think I've kind of fall along those lines when it comes to who I'm like genuinely attracted to. I also, because I don't I don't really become attracted to somebody unless I'm like kind of falling in love with them. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So because of that, and being someone who was attracted to boys but rarely was ever attracted to any boy, it was like one boy a year, and I wasn't just attracted to them. I like really had a crush on them and like wanted to be with them, and it was like, yeah. So because it was like very seldom that I would ever have a crush, like I didn't have a lot of boy crushes. I had like a couple celebrity crushes here and there growing up, but it was like kind of hard fought. Like I had to like watch a lot of things, like for instance Aaron Carter and Jesse McCartney and things like that. I had to like, specifically Aaron Carter, that was like the first one. I had to watch like all the things he was in and like see every interview I possibly could to like feel like I was getting to know him, and so therefore I felt like in love with him. I had a crush on him, and then I was like, he's really attractive. So anyway, that being said, all that being said, because my crushes were far and few between and I liked boys, the thought did cross my mind. I'm like, oh, do I like girls or do I like anybody else besides boys? Because all the girls around me had like such big crushes. Like even my younger sister, like she like a boy would walk by and she would like have a crush on him and like think he was so cute, and that did not happen for me. I'm not like that. And so all, the girls in school too, like girls my age, like would have crushes on boys. Like a guy would just be around them and they would just like meet somebody and be like, oh my God, he's so cute. And I'd be like, sure. Like, okay. Like I just didn't have an opinion. So, because of that, I like got self-conscious about like, am I not attracted to boys? I think that was more the question. I was like, why am I not attracted to them? Like all these other girls are just like think that boys, so many different boys are cute. So I was like, I didn't know what I was like, if something was like different about me because of that. But that being said, like I mentioned, I never liked girls. Like I never did have like a crush on a girl or anything. So no, I did not. I think as I've aged, and I've talked about how I believe is like sexuality is fluid. I do not find like I'm not like generally attracted to girls. I'm not into girls. However, I do have one-offs. Okay. So again, back to like, I kind of have to fall in love with somebody to be attracted to them. And then I'm like, yeah, I think I could be attracted to anybody if I fell in love with them. I think it just like, I don't know what would garner that falling in love, except for this one example, which I'll tell you. That is Amber Bain from the Japanese House. I really loved, her music, and she's like super vibey. She's a lesbian, and she's like really confident in herself, and she's like kind of androgynous, which is a thing for me. And I just really liked her stuff. And then I went to a concert and I was like front row. She came to Nashville to Basement East, and if you've ever seen her play, like she exudes like this like confident like sexuality, like I don't know. And she flirts with her audience. I mean, now I've seen her a second time and I realize she's kind of like got that flirty energy. But the first time I ever saw her, I was like, I felt like it was special to me because I was front row, so I didn't see anybody else around me. It was just like me and her. And anytime she looked at me, I was like, oh my God. Like, so I kind of like got a crush in that way. And I was like, I don't know. I like kind of fell in love a little bit, not like fully, but you know what I mean? Like full on crush. And so because of that, I'm like, yeah, okay, I could like a girl, like a one-off kind of situation. But to be honest, I think that's like true for everyone, most people at least. And yeah, so I would say she's my only like actual crush, but every once in a while I'll come across like a girl like on TikTok or something that is very androgynous. And I'm like into it, but I think my main thing is I like like androgynous boys, like men. And so that like crossover, it's funny. I just like saw well, it doesn't really matter. But I just saw these pictures of like two androgynous people next to each other, one's a woman and one's a man, and I was like, yeah, like that would be my type. So, that was a really long-winded answer of what was it? Have you ever thought you liked girls? So, the answer is no. If I really got a crush on somebody, that could be a time I liked one, but it's not often, but I'm not that closed off to those feelings, except for the fact that I'm married and monogamous. So yeah. All right, next question. Okay, this kind of goes along with it. Do you ever wish you had a crazy season before marrying Adam? Quote unquote crazy season. I think so when I think about the season I was in before marrying Adam, it's like who I was then, I wouldn't have had a crazy season. Even if I had like wanted to, like, you know what I mean? I just wouldn't have been that person. So that version of me wouldn't have. So it all worked out. But I do think like now in a way, I definitely don't regret. I'm like, I've talked about it before, but I'm like really happy to just like have only had intercourse with Adam. Like there's just so many, I don't know, like the scary parts, the more, yeah, the scary parts of like having sex with like other people, multiple people. It's like you run the risk of one, getting pregnant, and two, STDs. And so I think because I never had that season, there's still a part of me that's like, oh, that's a little scary. Like I never fully experienced it, and I've never had to take like precaution. I've never had to be like worried about it. Like if Adam and I like got pregnant, I'd be like, oh well, like okay, well we'd be fine with it, happy. It's like fine, we're avoiding it right now, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's okay. Whereas like if I was like sleeping with people before, like I'd be definitely more nervous consistently because I've never gone through that season. So I think the most straightforward answer is no. I don't wish I had a crazy season. I do think but like part of me does, I guess. Because I part of me does wish like I had the experience. And if I could have just like set it up to be perfectly safe and like non-complicated, which it's pretty much never non-complicated to like be intimate with people. But like if I could have made it like non-complicated, safe, healthy, all of that, yeah, I would have liked to explore different things with different bodies and people, and yeah, probably girls too, and yeah, just like more. Like I wish I had more experiences. But it's not like a regret type of thing where I'm not like it doesn't haunt me, if that makes sense. It's just like, sure, that could have been nice, but I'm happy now, so it is what it is. If I'm really that curious, you know. Oh, I just realized I never told the second reason why I thought I could be into girls, by the way. So I'll answer that now. The second reason is because when I would look at porn, I don't like guys being involved. So I pretty much, for the most part, I pretty much like girls. And that's a very common thing for a lot of girls. Is that you just like girl on girl thing. It just like is usually so like less violent and focused more on pleasure. And I'm into that. So anyway, that was the second reason why I was like, oh my God, well maybe I'm into girls. And that does kind of confuse you for sure. But anyway, so that was the second part of that question. But having a crazy season, no, I don't wish I had, but I probably would have like, if I could create this like gap in time, yeah, I'd probably like just hook up with a bunch of different type of people. But now I can just, you know, I'll get different dildos and I don't know. I don't know. But for now, all right. So, next question. Okay, so now we're getting a little we're leaving the crazy sex conversations for the most part. Okay, what's a big life dream you have that's non-negotiable? Oh my gosh, I have a couple things that ran through my mind, and is it okay if I say a few? Okay, I'll say the first one that came to my mind was I want to work to a point in my life creating a brand and a company and expanding like this podcast into the point where I am working alongside somebody or they're like working for me. Like I want to hire somebody. I want to have somebody working for me. I want to eventually one day like even the first step would be great to work with somebody who is like we both kind of mutually benefit, but then one day down the road I would love to actually like be paying somebody like truly a hired employee. That is a big dream of mine. Always has been since I was a little girl. And yeah, so I think that probably will be the first one because it just like came across my mind. Yeah, so maybe we'll just go with that one. I do have several, but let's go with that for now. And maybe we can go more into like others in like a different episode. But I'd be so curious to hear that from like you guys too. Like, what was the question? What's a big life dream you have that's non-negotiable? I would also really like to have like product, like to sell a thing that people can hold in their hands. So that could be so many different things. And I'm dreaming up some things, but that's also something that I would super, super love. Okay. All right. Next, what food did you miss the most when you were vegan? I think chicken. I think there were random times we were getting brunch and I'd be really hungry and like all I'd be eating is like potatoes. And I would see everybody with like an egg, like a beautiful fried egg or like poached egg or something. And I'm like, that looks so good. And now like fast forward and we ate eggs so much when we first started eating them. And now I'm like kind of over eggs, which is how I was before I went vegan. And I think like turkey at Thanksgiving. So yeah, honestly, chicken. I think I'd smell it and I would be like, I want that so bad. Poultry, I guess, chicken and turkey. Fish also was like I really craved it. I actually didn't crave beef that much, which was nice. But anyway, so chicken and fish, poultry and fish, which are my favorites basically now too. And specifically my dad's chicken drumsticks that he would make. Those, oh my God, I craved those so much, which that sounds so good. And I'm starving right now, so I got some chicken in the fridge. Anyway, now you got me starving. Thank you so much. Okay, next. Oh, this is kind of, honestly, this feels like the most intense question, even though it's like not. But it's, what's your relationship with your sister like? I think that most people would just do about anything to have a relationship like the relationship I have with my sister. It is mostly amazing and wonderful, and we are very close, and we think very similarly. We, have the Sunnyvale lands. Like, she and I both go into this like dream imaginary world together, even still to this day, very easily. We're like twin flames, but we're 3.5 years apart, and we were put in a career together at a very pivotal time in our lives. I was 16, she was 13, and we were put in the Christian industry, the music industry, and it was like a pressure cooker on our relationship. And we did that until she ended up actually kind of quitting. Well, not kind of, but she ended up quitting our band in 2018. And I guess we had started doing music together in 2010. So it was about 8 years. And, you know, as a lot of you probably have heard in different episodes, like that was kind of that 2018 was like the biggest shift year of my life, because I got married the first few days of 2018 and then moved down to an apartment, had all these bills for the first time, and then my sister quit the band and I had to figure out what to do for like livelihood, and also my identity was rocked, and it was like a whole big shift. And that like it was the catalyst for like some of the deconstruction of my religion, because I was like, I just came from this Christian industry that I gave my all, and now I have nothing to show for it. Nobody's there for me. Like I had a lot of people turn their back on me in that time. And there was a big divide between my sister and I, because, you know, with our communications, like I was under the impression she was done with music for a while. Because she just needed a break. It was the Christian industry was like, you know, kind of traumatic for the both of us, but especially specifically for her. And she ended up coming out with her own music. And it's been like this journey of, you know, feeling like the rug was like pulled out from underneath me. And then there was a big family divide, you know, like there was a lot that we've had to go through and mend, and it's been years. And it's like, those specific wounds of like music and the industry and family and sisterhood, like those are mostly healed and healing like now. But I'll say like those were some of the biggest wounds I think, and I hope I will ever have. And it's 2020, it's almost 2024 now. And, you know, all that happened in 2018 first happened in 2018. Things like kind of progressed, got worse, got better, got worse, you know, over a couple of years. But now I feel like we really are the best point we've been. But I do think that makes us closer in some ways. I think in some ways when we were put in that pressure cooker of a career together and sold as a product, we had to mold into one singular person, and separating ourselves from one another and coming up with our own identities was really difficult. And I will say for me, it was probably, I don't know, I think it was probably more difficult for me because I'm a very one-track minded person. And while, you know, Brooke, my sister, would be writing music for herself, you know, like for fun and like whatever, while we were doing the band together, she had like that outlet. She would like play guitar and she would write music for herself, and she would like, you know, paint or like do other artistic, have those outlets. And I was like, oh, I was very focused on like our career together. So all of my career and artistic mind, like all of that was like so pointed in everything that was our band, that when it ended, I didn't have any other things to fall back on creatively or career wise or anything that like sparked anything in me. And I think so, having to like losing everything and then having to develop an identity outside of not just our music together, but like each other. And then I deconstructed my faith, so then I was like no longer a Christian. So like there's so many identity shifts that I think it had taken a lot of time for us to go our separate ways in a way, and then come back together and figure out what that could be like. And so again, back to your question, what's your relationship with your sister like? It's definitely better than it's ever been. But it's still, I mean, we still fight. We still have complications. Like, um, there are times when there's literally nobody else in this world that annoys me more, like, but also there's like nobody that I know is going to like be there more at the same time. So it's like, it's having a sister, a sister that you're really close to and that you had a career with. It's complicated. But like I said in the beginning, I think a lot of people will do a lot of things to have the type of relationship I have with her. So that answers that, I think. Okay, I think we have one last question. Yeah, we do. And it's funny. It's like kind of a one-off, but I did like it. Do you believe in past lives and why? So this is one of those topics where I feel like I know in my soul, body, bones, DNA, like I know how I feel about this, but communicating it is very difficult for me because although I understand like quantum physics and I understand time continuums and I understand parallel universes, it's like speaking things out loud is not here I am with a mic in my face and a podcast, but speaking things out loud when it comes to this sort of thing is not like, it usually takes another person to help get it out of my brain. But I'm going to do my best. So, those things being said, quantum physics, time continuums, and, gaps in time and splitting atoms and epigenetics, like those things I do believe in, and they are like the core of what I believe. And so in a way, I do believe in past lives because I think on one hand, I believe that we all come from the same thing. Like we are all the same. I do believe we're like, I don't know how to explain this, but I think that like when I meet somebody, I see myself in them and like I could be living their life in a different parallel universe. Like they are me. I think they're all me. And then I'm them. This sounds so kooky. But I think, yeah, I just see that we are all one. And so because of that, in a way, I believe that everything's a past life / future life. And it also depends on the day, because some days I really feel this way and sometimes I'm just like, no, we're just human beings who are born, we go to the dirt, we die, that's it. Like sometimes that I'm like I'm super atheist and I'm super like nothing happens after, nothing happens before. It's just like whatever. Sometimes I'm like that. Not as often though. Because I like to stay curious, right? And I like to like play with ideas of what could be possible. And I think those who are like, so nothing happens, it's like, that's just kind of boring to me because I do think that there's so much that we don't know and can't understand. And so I like remaining open to all possibilities. And I do think like in a way, like I've had experiences like with my grandmother, my dad's mom, feeling like I'm a little bit her reincarnated in a way, or that she's just very much with me. I was the first grandchild born after she died. I have her middle name. I've been compared to her a lot. When I was growing up, people used to tell me that they thought my name was Maria, which was her name, and that I looked like a Maria. And I don't know. There's just like a couple things. I was also due on her birthday. So there was just like a couple things, have always been a couple things that made me feel like I kind of was a reincarnation of her. But I also just feel like her spirit is strong within me. And so I don't know if that like is like a past life type thing. I do know that mostly past lives are to do with like, I've lived mostly in this, like some people believe you kind of like lived in this body already or in this like kind of experience, not even this body, but like you've lived with your consciousness in another time. And there was a season where I believed in that because I believed that Adam and I lived and were together in a time in like during like a world war and we were like in Italy, and I was a painter, and he was in the war. He something, I don't know. There was like things going on like that, and I felt that pretty strong. And I've also had some personal intrusive thoughts and like triggers that have to do with being like a single mom, or like death of like car crashes, or like that sort of thing that like really overwhelms me with emotion to a point where like I have like little like panic attacks, or will just like be in tears over things that have never actually happened to me, but they feel like they have. Also, sexual assault is one of those things. And so I don't know if that's something that is in my bloodline, and it's just something I've experienced through, my grandmother and things that she has gone through, or like any other ancestor has gone through, and that's like in their DNA and their blood, and I like feel those things. That's a very high possibility. Or has this happened to me in another life? I don't know. I would say my belief mostly now has more to do with DNA and epigenetics and like body memory and blood memory than it is with past lives, if that makes sense. But I do find that option fascinating. And I also don't like, time isn't linear, and so really anything's possible. So I could talk about this forever, but not by myself, because I'm gonna run out of things to say. But like with somebody else, like I'd love to go into this at some point. But that is the last question. I love how full circle this whole conversation, this whole episode has been. I hope you found it very interesting. It's very fun for me to be able to just be candid here and talk and hang out with you all. Yeah. So if you haven't already, please follow the podcast. That way you get the episodes every week and you don't have to go searching for it, and it helps our numbers. And if you rate, give us a 5-star review, and that helps us too. And share with friends. Do all the things. It actually means a lot, and it does help a lot. So if you found this interesting, save it, send it, rate it. Yeah. Love you guys. And until next time. Bye.